Yep, the winter has arrived. Thursday morning, 1:44 a.m. is snow squall watch in effect. Now, basically what that means is the conditions are favorable for snow squalls to develop, or they already exist and have the potential to move into our area. Now, if you don't know what a snow squall is, basically we're surrounded by lakes here. And when there's a really strong cold wind that blows across the lake, it accumulates a whole lot of moisture from the warmer water, and once it hits land, it just drops it all. So we can get quite a significant amount of snow really fast in these conditions. So first major lake effect snow event of the season, developing late Thursday and continuing through Friday. Snow squalls are expected to develop late Thursday as a cold front moves through and brisk northwest winds develop over Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Latest indications suggest there is potential for a strong snow squall with significant accumulation from Georgian Bay into Simcoe County and another strong accumulating squall from Lake Huron into Huron, Middlesex, and Lambton counties. Now, Georgian Bay and Simcoe County are northeast of us, nowhere near us, so that one's not an issue for us. And Huron County, Middlesex County, and Lambton counties are all southwest, and they tend to get a lot of snow long before we do. So at this point, I'm really not too worried about it. But when they forecast these, it's basically an estimate. There's no real guarantee of where the snow squalls are actually going to happen and how they're going to behave once they start. They don't always go in a straight line. Sometimes they gradually move north or move south. So it's just it's a crapshoot, you know. Either you're going to get it or you're not. It's hard to tell. So 2 minutes later, 1:46 a.m., get the notification the snow starts at 2:10. So there's already snow on the way. So we take a look at the radar. And at the moment, the winds are from the southwest. And that little blue line just above the blue dot there, the blue dot is where I'm at. And that blue line is passing us. Georgian Bay, where all that wonderful blue stuff is, they're up in Algonquin Park. They're getting lots up there. So far there's really nothing near us. But the little arrows, yellow arrows and orange arrows indicate the wind direction. And the darker the arrow, the faster the winds are. So the winds are up there, but down here they're still nice and calm. And in order for us to get snow squalls, the wind has to come from the northwest, or I should say the northwest, not the southwest, because in order to pick up the moisture, the wind has to travel a certain amount of kilometers over the lake. So if it comes from the northwest, there's a lot of water there for it to pick up the moisture on. So here's a bit of a forecast for the next 3 days. Snow, a lot, then a little bit, but it's steady. And when you look at the upcoming temperatures, any snow we get, it's going to stick around for a while. And it's really not going to go anywhere. So later, it's 10:30 at night, Thursday. The snow squall watch has been updated to a warning because we are now getting it. And you see at the bottom, the snow stops at 11:20 p.m. So we have been getting snow. Here's a look at the radar. You can see the snow is now coming from, well, I don't have the arrows on this particular map, but you can just tell by the lines of the snow the direction it's coming from, because it goes in a straight line. So the winds are now coming from the northwest, and we are getting snow. So that's how the forecast has worked. So I'm just getting all excited to go out and test the monster and more snow. So Thursday evening is when I'm going out. It's still daylight at the time, but gradually getting darker. And at this point in time, we probably got about 4 or 5 inches of snow on the road. Time to go play. So I'm actually going out twice today. The first time I'm going out, I have to go up to Pioneer to get bag tags. If you don't know what that is, we have to pay to throw our garbage out. We have tags that we have to put on the bags when we take them to the curb. We have to go to the store and buy them. So I got to do that. I'm gonna show this to her because there's a few things that happen that are worth noting, and one of them, I did a really stupid mistake, and I may have damaged the monster. Yeah, I kind of give you an idea how bad I screwed up, but I'm going to use it as a warning to anybody who drives a mobility scooter in the wintertime as something you really need to watch out for. And I come home and I charge the scooter up for a while, and then I go out again at night. I had to go out, I had to go to SO, but I don't remember what it was for. But I figured, well, if I'm going out, then I'm going to make use of my time going out, and I'm going to go do the rail trail again at night, but this time with a whole lot more snow, and it's quite an interesting trip. It's worth watching. Stop the high speed here because I want to show you this. Yeah, actually got the back end to slide. As all my trying, this is the first time I've been able to. And I hate to say it, it's kind of unusual thing for me to say, but the monster actually gets too much traction. It's hard to really play and have fun with. Kind of anxious to see what it would do with the freezing rain, just how much I can actually get a slide out of it. I might have to use the brake part of it to get anything to really move, but I was kind of impressed that I got it to slide there. So here's a warning for anybody who drives a mobility scooter in the wintertime. This intersection that I'm at here, normally when I cross here I go straight through. It's kind of a dangerous intersection for mobility scooters, so I usually avoid it. I go through the parking lots and go around the intersection. But I'm crossing here. The only other time that I've crossed at this particular crosswalk, I came from the other direction. It's rare for me to cross here. Now the problem is, if you look to the left of my head, you can see the lines on the road where the crosswalk is. The issue that I have here is I don't know where the curb is lowered at the sidewalk, so I just followed the crosswalk. And as you can see, the lowered part of the sidewalk doesn't match up with the crosswalk there. Normally when I'm out, I'm always in the same places all the time, so I know where curbs are that I need to avoid and that. And even in the wintertime when the sidewalk plow's been through, if he's going straight through an intersection, he'll just go straight through. But the problem is, if the sidewalk is curved, the lower part that goes down to the pavement that you can drive up on is usually in the middle of the curb. So I don't line up with the sidewalk, going straight across. Now with the ES 950, that kind of creates a situation where I can't go off that curb, up or down it. So I gotta find another way. But with the Monster, I haven't had an issue with that. But as far as not seeing the curb, the snow was hiding it pretty good. And I had no idea until I hit that, and that was a serious impact. That was a really, I know you can't see it in the video, but that was quite a jolt, and it totally caught me by surprise. And I do believe I caused damage to the Monster, and the reason for that is, maybe a week later, I noticed that with the basket on the front, if the basket's not centered with the tiller, then that's usually an indication I have a flat tire. And I noticed it was pointing to the right. I checked and my tires are fine, and it doesn't matter where I am, whether I'm leaning to the left or leaning to the right or whatever, the basket's always turning to the right. So I think I bent something in the suspension, or maybe the steering itself just kind of turned to the right, I don't know. But something has changed, and I got thinking about this, and I have a feeling smacking that curb like that may have bent something. So it's kind of a warning. If you're going to drive in the snow, make sure you're familiar with where you are. I got another example of that later on. After I get home and recharge the scooter, I go back out again. There's another example where I was relying on, or not relying on my memory, but just kind of relying on what I was seeing, and obviously I was wrong about it. So just keep that in mind when you're out. Make sure you know where you are, and if you don't, just be very careful for hidden objects in the snow. And this is the problem when you get wet snow. It just sticks to the camera lens, and it's built up quite a bit here. But when I go in to get my coffee, like I said before, the camera generates heat a little bit, not much, but it does generate heat, and it melts it off. And you see, it just kind of clears the snow right off the lens. Now I'm back home. Yeah, excuse me. End of my tour. As you can see, there's a fair amount of snow on the ground here. And oddly enough, I can back up my ramp now without any issues. The snow on it, apparently there's more traction than it was when it was just wet wood. But I'm home, back in the shelter. Twang goes the flagpole. Everything shut down, plug the scooter in, close everything up, and upstairs to my bedroom to upload the video into my computer. And I don't remember why, but I needed to go back out to Esso. I've been going crazy trying to remember why I went there, but I do remember it was the only store that had what I wanted, but I don't remember what that was. So I figured, well, if I'm going to go back out again, I might as well go play again. So I do the rail trail again, but I do it backwards. I start at the soccer fields where I usually end, and I do the whole thing backwards. And this turns out to be the last time this year or until spring anyways, that I'll be doing the rail trail, simply because it's just too plugged up now. And I'll explain more later when I get down there in the video, and I'll show you what's going on. It's easier to really show you than try to explain it. Heading out again. Monster's all charged up, and it's been snowing constant since the last time I was out. well, sometimes heavily, sometimes lightly, but it never actually stopped. So there's actually quite a bit more snow now than there was then. I do have my headlamp with me. I don't have it on at the moment, but I will put it on my head when I get to the soccer fields, when I enter the trail. So, a little bit of a slide going around the corner here. I'm kind of looking forward to doing some more play in the trails. So here I am at another left turn. I had success making a slide at the last one. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good one. I've made it to the soccer fields. That's where I'm going to start the rail trail tour. It's time to put my headlamp on and the other light set up. Now I want to point something out. The light that I use for my spotlight, it's a good light. It's got some pretty good weight to it. It's got a nice battery that it takes, and I like it. But the quality is cheap. I have two of them, and I switch back and forth every once in a while. The problem I have with them is that they've got the switch on the end of the cap, and you push it in all the way and it turns it on and off, and you push it just a little bit and it changes the modes from different brightnesses and the flash mode and that. The problem is the switch is in several pieces and it's pressed into the cap. So every once in a while I press it and the whole thing just pushes inside and doesn't do anything. Well, that's the issue I'm having here right now. And you'll see the light flashing a lot. And fortunately, the only way I can get it to stay on is to unscrew the cap a little bit. But I can't leave it like that because the vibrations will make it unscrew and then it'll fall off and I'll lose everything, including my nice expensive batteries. So I decide at this point I'm going to take it apart and see if I can push the switch back in so that I can use it tonight, because I really do need that light. Well, unfortunately, when I unscrewed it, everything just kind of popped out and a couple pieces fell on the ground. So, yeah, not a good thing to happen at night or in the snow. So I got everything together, but I'm still missing the spring. So the spring is down in the snow there somewhere. I'm not gonna find it tonight. So maybe in the springtime when everything's melting, I'll try to remember where I lost it and I might be able to find it. So this light's not gonna work for me anymore. I have to switch back to the other one on the scooter eventually, but for tonight that's not gonna help because I'd have to go back home to get it. So I'm gonna be doing this tour with just the Monsters lights and my headlamp. It works. It's adequate. It just having that extra light from the spotlight really makes a difference. But I'll be without that tonight. As I begin my trail tour here, this whole area is flat, and the trail is flat. It's kind of wide, so I don't really need to be in the center of it. But I can't actually see where the trail is. I have to rely on my memory, basically, just where this is. Now I'm doing it backwards the way I normally do, so it makes it a little more of a challenge. But you'll notice there's footprints. Somebody's been walking out here, which I don't like driving on the trail when there's footprints in the snow because it makes it really, really bumpy. But so be it. The problem here, as I mentioned earlier in the video when I smacked the curb, that I had another example of what to watch for when you're driving in the snow. Well, these footprints are going to play a part in that. Years ago, I drove out to Saskatchewan, and somewhere up in northern Ontario, it was dark out and it was snowing pretty heavy. I could barely see where I was going, and I did something really stupid. I was following the tire tracks that were on the road. I was trusting that whoever made those tracks stayed on the road, which they didn't. I suddenly realized that there was taillights up ahead that I was catching up to really quickly, and they were down in the ditch. So luckily I was able to avoid falling them into the ditch. But if you see here, I went off the side of the trail. The footprints here are doing the same thing. I'm following the footprints, and I followed them off the trail. So, but there's no ditch here or anything to get stuck in or slide down, so it's not a big deal. I just kind of got off the hard surface into the bumpy grass and that. But I just thought I'd mention that. Just kind of do your best to remember where everything is, and just go by memory, not follow what other people are doing. I'm gonna speed through up to the point where I get to the other trail, because there's something there that I need to mention, and just show you how much snow is in there, and just kind of impressed that the monster went through it. At this point, I'm reaching my danger zone again, the worst part of the trail, and of course with the snow I'm a little bit worried. I don't want to fall off that wall right there. I'm going to be right into the water, and then I go down the hill. I see the monster's steering so nicely through here. I really like it, but the water is just to the right, and I'm so worried, still worried about sliding into it. It's a little more scary coming this direction because I'm going downhill and more of a chance of sliding. I like this Christmas tree here. It's right at the water's edge, and if you noticed in the last video, you can actually see a carpet going across the trail under the snow. You can just see the outline of it, and you just barely see it now. But that's where the extension cord is. It goes out to it. You put a carpet over it so nobody trips over it. But it looks nice, and you can see it from the road when you're crossing the river. I think that's why they do that. It's kind of nice looking. So I reached my destination, and to my disappointment, somebody has driven a snowmobile through here. Not once, but twice. It's not legal to drive snowmobiles in this trail, but to be honest, if I had one, I'd probably do it myself, so I can't really get too upset about it. The problem is it's going to make driving the monster through here a little more difficult. Normally when I drive in the snow, I prefer driving in virgin snow. If you're wondering what virgin snow is, it's snow that hasn't yet been touched. And even when I was driving a car, I preferred driving in virgin snow than, following somebody's tire tracks. But with the snowmobile in here, everything's compacted and all messed up, and the monster is really impressive. It's laboring a little bit, you can hear that, but it's going through it. It's not having a problem with it. I'm very, very impressed. So I'm just gonna sit back here. I'm not gonna play any music. I'm not gonna speed up the video. I'm just gonna let it play till I get to the end of the trail, just so you can hear, what the monster's doing and that. So there you have it. The monster is definitely suited to driving in the wintertime. If I brought my ES 950 down here, as soon as I went to that first gate, I'd get about 2 feet and it would stop dead. And there's no way it would go through this. So it's still nice down here at night. It wasn't quite as beautiful as in the last video. And there's two reasons for that. One, I wasn't able to use that nice bright light on my handlebars that I wanted to use. And the other reason is this snow isn't wet and heavy like the last snow was. And it caused all the trees to bend down and create kind of a tunnel to go through. A really nice experience. So that part didn't exist tonight. The snow was still on the trees, but it wasn't weighing them down. So I'm at the end of the trail here. I'm going to take a break. And while I'm here, I just kind of do my thing, my creativity. And I created a footprint spiral in the parking lot here. And you'll see that when I pull out. So that's it for this video. I have a nice one coming up. The monster, it's most extreme situation yet, snow situation that is. I'm really not sure what to say. I was kind of speechless when I did it, but the monster's got the power, the monster's got the traction, and I discovered it'll go through pretty much anything. So that video will be up in a while. It's not the next video, but there's a couple anyways in between. I haven't really worked out the exact date, but it's on its way. And I also, during that time of experimenting, I discovered that the battery monitor doesn't always tell the truth in a high load situation. So you'll see what that's all about. So thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with the rest of my trip in high speed.